Hello everyone, my name is Paul Nierenberg and I'm the design lead for the draft. We're actually going to start with a quick video, so if you please direct your attention to the screen.
82% chance, try number 2. Okay, Chief is a worthless idiot, and that's why that happened.
This is like 4.5 times effective, I think someone said in the comments. I can't exactly remember. Are you serious right now? Wow! Got a nice crit. That mining got a crit on me and killed me.
Syria? Crom, don't you f***ing get up on me. Crom!
Too easy, I kill you.
What? The f***? It was 2%!
2%. Has this ever happened to you? You're playing your favorite strategy game and you're on fire. Things are going perfectly. You're hitting all the moves. Yeah, exactly. You're hitting all the moves, and then through no fault of your own, some random number generator decides, no, you didn't win, you lost. It sucks, and it's a killer, particularly for strategy gamers who want to win based on their skills and abilities, not on chance. To solve this, the draft has decided to take tactical strategy and put it into VR so you can literally fight your own battles. No more hit chances, no more criticals, no attack speed or shield ratings, just you, the player, with complete control. So that's the seed that spawned the draft, and it came to a simple theme. Victory is in your hands. So we knew this player was going to be the center of everything, and we wanted to double down on that. We wanted the player to feel like a god among men and women. We wanted them to be a superstar. So that's how we decided to make a sport. Now, I'll admit, it was strange for us. It was an honest surprise for us when we first made the shift. But as we considered the ramifications of the change, everything seemed to line up perfectly. We wanted to reward the player for doing all of the hard work, from the highest strategy down to the most minute sword play. And we wanted them to be the center of attention, because they are doing the work. They deserve the glory. And who in reality more perfectly exemplifies the ideas of adulation and attention than the modern sports star? I mean, this Super Bowl clocked more than 110 million viewers. The president doesn't get that. I checked. So he said, let's put our superstar player in the middle of a massive audience of 1 million screaming fans. Can you imagine how that must feel? There's nothing like it. You see, sports have such fervor because it's not just about the game. It's about the players and the stories they tell. Well, in the draft, you are the player. You make every play. You make every decision. So now that you understand the tone and the theme, we can finally talk about the game. I'm going to start with a couple of basic ideas just to help bridge the gap because it's a bit of an advanced concept. So it's a real-time strategy game. We're working virtual reality, and there'll be a mix between top-down strategy and first-person fighting. And as I said, it's a sport. So the rules of the sport are pretty simple. There are two periods of play, 10 minutes each. You score a goal. You score 3 points anytime one of your players manages to cross into the goal zone of the opposing team. You score an additional point whenever any enemy player ends up in a penalty zone, and we'll tell you how they get there in a second. There are 10 players to a side. So the game loop has 3 phases: the movement phase, the battle phase, and the strike phase. The movement phase is going to be your top-down strategy area. So picture yourself with a war board, similar to dear poor friend Rob here, except it's going to be in VR, so you're going to have this big physical board in the middle of your bounding box. And instead of having something flat with pieces like this, it's going to be built up in 3D with structures, topography, hazards, and units all rendered there in front of you. You're going to be able to physically walk around it, and what you'll do is you'll be able to select any unit and physically draw a movement path for them anywhere onto the board. As soon as you let go, they will start running in real time until they get to their final point. The thing is, this is a real-time strategy game, and the number of moves you can make is limited solely to your ability to make decisions and plot paths. As soon as a unit runs into an enemy unit, we get to the battle phase. So for the battle phase, what it will literally look like is when two units collide, your unit will highlight, and a 3D image of their weapon will appear above them on the table. You will grab that weapon, step back, and step into the shoes of that unit. You'll be there facing the AI enemy inside the arena. What will happen is there'll be a quick fight, about 30 seconds, where you're hacking and slashing, until such a point as when one player defeats the other. We'll explain that in a second. I also want to point out that we have two members of the team dedicated almost solely to AI programming because we understand how important it is that the combat and the AI feel real instead of just overhead slash, side slash, overhead slash. So what will finally happen is one unit will be defeated and we'll go to the strike phase. Now you recall that I mentioned that the player plays every position in this game. They are the star. So I said that they are both tactician and soldier. And in our case, they are coach and player. But it goes beyond that. Because in addition to playing all of the positions, the player is also the ball. So what happens is that once a unit is defeated in battle, they will be in a stunned state. And the other unit, the enemy unit, will have 5 seconds exactly to look around the arena, line up a shot, and send that unit flying into the air. So this is how you get units into the penalty zones. You have to physically knock them in there. And when you do, you won't only score a point, but they will get sent to the penalty box and be out of the game for a short time. However, you can use the strike phase to accomplish a lot of things. It's defensive. If you knock a unit off a cliff, it's going to take a long time for them to walk back up and get to the goal zone. You can also chain combats by placing your units near each other, because if you knock an enemy into another one of your units, when a collision happens, battle comes afterwards. So instead of going back to movement phase, you'll go into another battle, and you can move them significantly around the board if you position your units correctly. I'm going to include two very short but very helpful visuals here because there's some concern about the shift, particularly in VR, from battle phase to combat. So I'm going to show two examples that I think are extremely effective that we've seen in other games. The first, here's a little bit from Fire Emblem. It's about 15 seconds. I'm not going to enlarge it. You guys can see pretty well over there. So you're seeing here, top-down strategy phase. We can look around the board, we see all the units, then nice, easy shift right into battle. It's not jarring, it's not challenging. It goes very smoothly. And then she'll pop right back out after she gets her experience, back to movement phase. No problem. Battlefield, this is Call of Duty. Oh, would you stop? Wonderful. This one's Call of Duty. I like this one too because it better exemplifies sort of the visual aspects. So see here, top-down strategy, we can see the topography, and then shift very comfortably right into the unit position where you can move around and actually fight. So it's not just doable, but it has been done. Wonderful. So, now that you understand the game, I finally get to talk about the art, and this is important. Following our tone of Superstar, we wanted the art to be larger than life and more beautiful. We crafted a short fiction that feeds into this, which I'll explain in brief. So in the not-too-distant future, humanity finally has that nuclear war that we're all dreading. In the aftermath, we are. In the aftermath, the world's remaining leaders got together and said, this can never happen again. We need an alternative. And so the arena was posed. Every sovereign nation in the world would get to pony up a small team of soldiers, and instead of fighting battles en masse, killing thousands and millions, or destroying the world's resources, your team of 10 would get to fight your political battles in the arena. No massive loss of life, no destruction of the world. And it worked. War became obsolete. The people found an outlet for violence in the arena, and the world turned toward repairing the damage of previous ages. Following this, we decided that the overarching visual theme of the draft is going to be solar punk, which is a striking combination of science fiction and green technology. This technology will largely dictate the visual style of the arena itself, but will place subtle bits into the actual field. We chose it because we see it as sort of an idyllic dream for the potential of humanity, what might happen if we stop cutting the earth to pieces and start to protect it. But the concept of more beautiful than reality shows through even better in the playing fields themselves. Do not assume that we're going to be running around on dirt and grat on a flat piece of terrain. Absolutely not. Here you can see some of the inspiring images for the base map, which is modeled in the fjords of northern Norway and Greenland. Players will fight over icy parapets and across frozen lakes as they attempt to reach the goal zones on each side. And we're working with a unique mechanic where there'll be a small number of penalty zones to start, but players that fall off high places or get knocked too high up and come crashing down will actually crack holes in the lake, creating new penalty zones. A second, the map inspiration, the realistic art style that we've chosen. For example, the weapons, those are here. So in the world, guns and weapons of mass destruction have been outlawed, and we'll be relying on these 5 weapons: the sword, axe, shield, bow, and spear. If we have the artists, we plan to make multiple textures for each of these so that players can customize their own units. Regardless, they will all take on a definite science fiction visual with cracking particles and light effects. And in truth, the effects are going to be a very big part of the game. We want to have huge glowing goal zones, sparks when weapons collide, and flashy hazards. Not to mention that the board phase, or the movement phase, should be largely particle-based when you're looking over it. The real goal of this project is that we wanted to take on a challenge. We wanted to prove that we weren't afraid to design for a new platform or for new technology. We wanted to prove that VR can support beautiful art regardless of it being asset heavy if we're just clever in how we use it. And we wanted to set a new standard for the capabilities of VR because we've seen the games that are out there and we know we can take it further. So simply put, join our team, be a superstar. Thanks very much.